In this topic on electrostatics, we will be covering the forces due to the point charges. We apply the Coulomb's law for different examples. We also understand the electric field intensity and the potential difference. We also understand the statement of Gauss law. We start with the basic properties of charged particles. Like charges repel and unlike charges attract. Here you have Q1, Q2, both positive. These will have the repelling forces. Here you have Q1, Q2, both negative. These also will have the repelling forces. Here you have Q1 positive, Q2 negative. The forces would be of attractive type in this case. Coulomb's law statement. The force between 2 point charges is directly proportional to the product of the two charges and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. The force is proportional to the product Q1 Q2 and inversely proportional to R square. Q1 Q2 are measured in coulombs. R is the distance between Q1 and Q2 in meters. F is the force in newtons. Epsilon naught is the permittivity of the free space in farads per meter. Epsilon naught is 1 by 36 pi into 10 to the power of minus 9 farads per meter. The value of K, which is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, will be equal to 9 into 10 to the power of 9 meters per farad. 2 point charges are located 2 centimeters apart in free space as shown in the figure. Find the force on Q2. Here you have Q1 and Q2 values. We know the force is equal to Q1 Q2 by 4 pi epsilon naught R square. The force would be away from Q1 in the direction shown. We know 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught is 9 into 10 to the power of 9. By substituting Q1 and Q2 in coulombs and R in meters, we get the force as 180 newtons, the answer. We will understand the Coulomb's law in the vector form. The force on Q2 due to Q1, it is away from Q1. The magnitude is Q1 Q2 by 4 pi epsilon naught R square. A12 is a unit vector away from Q1. The force on Q1 due to Q2, the force direction is away from Q2. A21 is the unit vector away from Q2. Here you have F1, the force on Q1. Here A12 is the unit vector towards Q2. The force on Q2, F2, is in the direction of A21. A21 is the unit vector towards Q1. We speak about the Cartesian coordinates in the three-dimensional axis. We have the x-axis, y-axis, z-axis. Let us have a point P with 3, 4, 5 coordinates. The point P is 3 units along the x-axis, 4 units along the y-axis, and 5 units along the z-axis. OP bar, or otherwise R bar, is called the position vector of the point P. This R bar can be written as 3ax plus 4ay plus 5az in the directions of x, y, and z axis. Let us consider a point O at 0, 0, 0, another point B at 4, 6, 5, another A at 3, 2, 4. OA bar is the position vector of A. 3ax plus 2ay plus 4az. OB bar is the position vector of point B. It is 4ax plus 6ay plus 5az. We can now write OA bar plus AB bar is equal to the opposing vector OB bar. From this, the AB bar, which will be called as the distance vector between AB points, can be written as OB bar minus OA bar. From this, we can write the distance vector AB bar from A to B as the B coordinate minus the A coordinate of AX. So likewise, 6 minus 2 AY plus 5 minus 4 AZ. We will know how to write the distance vectors and unit vectors. Let there be a point A and point B. The coordinates are given. AB bar and BA bar are the distance vectors. This is A to B. AB bar is given by 4 minus 1 AX, 2 minus 4 AY plus 8 minus 2 AZ. This will come as 3AX minus 2AY plus 6AZ. Now B to A distance vector can be written as 1 minus 4 AX, 4 minus 2 AY, 2 minus 8 AZ. This will come as minus 3 AX plus 2 AY minus 6 AZ. The distance magnitude is given by root of 3 square plus minus 2 whole square plus 6 square. It will come as 7. AB bar and BA bar are the unit vectors. The unit vector from A to B is given by the vector AB bar divided by the magnitude. The unit vector from B to A is given by BA bar divided by the magnitude. Let us do an example. Two charges Q1, Q2, values are given, their locations are given. We have to find out the force on Q1. Let us find out the distance vector R12 bar. It will be 2 minus 1, 1 AX, 0 minus 2, minus 2 AY, 5 minus 3, plus 2 AZ. The magnitude R will come as 3. The unit vector from 1 to 2 is given by the distance vector R12 divided by the magnitude. By applying in the Coulomb's law, the magnitude of F1 will come as 30 newtons. The vector F1 is 30 A12 bar. It is 30 for A12 bar if you substitute and then further simplify it, you will get the answer for F1 vector as 10 AX minus 20 AY plus 20 AZ newtons. We look into the same example, but we will now find out the force on Q2. The force on Q2, F2, will be towards Q1. Let us write R21, the distance vector. It is 1 minus 2 AX, 2 minus 0 AY, plus 3 minus 5 AZ. You will get it as minus 1 AX plus 2 AY minus 2 AZ. The magnitude will come as 3. The unit vector from 2 to 1, A to 1, will be the R21 vector divided by the magnitude. Now the magnitude F2 can be written by Coulomb's law. You will get it as 30 newtons. The vector F2 will be 30 A21 bar. it will be 30, and substituting A21, you will get finally the answer for the vector force F2. Let us know the force due to many multiple charges. Let there be n charges Q1, Q2, Q3 and so on Qn. They are all separated from a test charge Qt by distances R1, R2, R3, so on Rn. The force on the test charge due to Q1 is F1, due to Q2 it is F2, due to Q3 F3, due to Qn the force is Fn. The resultant force Fr will be equal to the vectorial sum of F1, F2, F3 and so on Fn. By Coulomb's law, if you write for F1 Q1 Qt divided by 4 pi epsilon naught R1 square A1t. Likewise, F2 bar, F3 bar and so on Fn bar. Let us work out an example. 4-point charges are at the four corners of a rectangle. Q1 is a positive charge, Q2 is a positive charge, Q3 is a negative charge, Q4 is a positive charge. We had to find out the magnitude and direction of the resultant force on Q3. The force on Q3 due to Q1 will be towards Q1. It is an attractive force. The force on Q3 due to Q2 also is an attractive force. It is shown towards Q2. The force on Q3 due to Q4 is also an attractive force. It will be towards Q4. F1, when you use the Coulomb's law, you will get it as 0.9 newtons. F2, you will get 0.062 newtons. F4, 0.072 newtons. If you call this angle as theta, that theta is tan inverse 2 divided by 5. It will come as 21.8 degrees. The x component of these three forces will be F4 plus F2 cos theta plus F1 cos 90 degrees. It will come as 0.129. The y component, F1 is in the y direction, F2 sin theta is the vertical component, F4 sin 90 is the vertical component of F4. You will get it as 0.922. The resultant would be the root of fx square plus fy square. You will get it as 0.933 newtons. The angle of the x and y components would be 82 degrees. So the resultant force is 0.933 newtons acting at an angle of 82 degrees to the Q3 Q4 axis. Three charges are as shown in the figure. We had to find out the force on the charge which is at a height h. You can see at the base of the triangle there are plus q and minus q charges. The distance between these two charges is d plus d. Root of d square plus h square is the distance between the two positive charges. Due to the bottom plus q, the force will be of repulsive type and is as shown in the figure. Due to the bottom minus q, the force is of attractive type. It will be as shown in this figure. Each force by Coulomb's law is given by q square divided by 4 pi epsilon naught into the distance square. Each force will have the horizontal components in the same direction. It will have two vertical components, one upwards, one downwards. These two vertical components cancel out. If you call theta as the angle at the bottom, the two forces at height h will make theta and theta with the horizontal as shown in the figure. The two horizontal components add to give the resultant force. The resultant force is F cos theta plus F cos theta, the two horizontal components. It will be 2F cos theta. Now substituting for F and cos theta, we get FR expression. Cancelling out 2 and 4, you get finally the resultant force expression like this. We know the force on Q2 as F is equal to Q1 Q2 by 4 pi epsilon naught R square as per Coulomb's law. The force per unit charge is called the electric field intensity E. When Q2 is equal to 1 coulomb or when it is unit charge, the electric field intensity E is given by Q1 by 4 pi epsilon naught R square. Its direction will be in the force direction and away from Q1 as shown. Let us find out the electric field intensity at a point 3 meters away from Q1 in free space. As the first case, let us call the Q1 as positive charge. Due to this positive charge, the electric field intensity E will be away from Q1. It is given by Q1 by 4 pi epsilon naught R square. Take up the second case where Q1 is the negative charge. The electric field intensity now will be towards Q1. In both the cases, by substituting the values, you get E as 10 volts per meter. We will understand the electric field intensity due to multiple charges. You have here n charges which are at distances of r1, r2, r3, so on Rn from a point P. Due to Q1, E1 is away from Q1, E2 away from Q2, E3 away from Q3. Likewise, En will be away from Qn because we are considering all positive charges. The resultant Er will be the vectorial sum of E1, E2, E3 and so on En. By writing the expressions for E1, E2, E3 and so on En, you get the expression for Er. Let us take up an example. A charge of 24 nanocoulombs is at 0, 1, 2. Find the electric field intensity in the vector form at a point P 2, 5, 6. Let the distance between Q and P be R. The E will be away from Q in the R direction. The R bar is 2 minus 0 in the x as the x component, 5 minus 1 as the y component, 6 minus 2 as the z component. It will be 2ax plus 4ay plus 4az. The magnitude is root of 2 square plus 4 square plus 4 square. It will come as 6. We know the electric field intensity is Q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught R square. By substituting the values for 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, 9 into 10 to the power of 9 is substituted. You get magnitude E as 6 volts per meter. Now the vectorial form of E bar is 6 AR bar. Substituting for AR as R bar divided by magnitude R, you get the E as 2AX plus 4AY plus 4AZ. In the figure, we see a charge Q placed in an electric field experiences a force Fe in the direction of E bar. We know E is the force per unit charge. E is equal to Fe by Q. From this we have Fe is equal to QE bar. The differential work done by the field in moving this charge over a differential length dl is given by dWe is equal to F bar dot dl bar, that is QE bar dot dl bar. The differential work to be done by an external force to keep this Q in equilibrium would be dW is equal to F external dot dl bar, that is integral minus Q E bar dot dl bar. In the figure, you see point A, point B. The path from B to A is in the opposite direction to the E bar direction. The work done in moving the charge Q from B to A is given by integral B to A minus Q E bar dot dl bar. The work done in moving a unit positive charge from B to A in an electric field is called the potential difference. Therefore, VAB is equal to integral B to A minus E bar dot dl bar joules per coulomb. Find the potential difference between A and B, which are at radial distances of RA and RB from the point charge Q. We know VAB as integral B to A minus E bar dot dl bar. Substituting for E as Q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught R square and carrying out the integration, we get the final expression for VAB as Q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught into 1 by RA minus 1 by RB. We know the electric field intensity E at a point P due to a point charge Q as Q divided by 4 pi epsilon R square. If you let epsilon E bar as a d bar and call it as the flux density vector, d bar would become Q divided by 4 pi R square AR bar. Imagine now a spherical surface of radius R with its center at Q. The d bar vector points radially outward through each tiny surface area on the sphere. You can see now an elemental tiny surface area at the point P in the figure. The d bar vector points radially outward through this tiny surface area. If you multiply with the total surface area of the sphere 4 pi r square, the d into 4 pi r square will become only q. From this we can say the total flux coming out of the surface of the sphere psi is equal to the charge enclosed by the closed surface. Let us understand the Gauss law. The total electric flux psi coming out through any closed surface is equal to the charge enclosed by that closed surface. Imagine an arbitrary closed surface enclosing the charge q within it. Let ds be an elemental surface on this closed surface. The direction of this ds is the normal to this elemental surface. The vector d bar will be oriented radially outward through this surface. Theta is the angle made by this d bar with the ds direction. dn is the normal component of d bar. So the elemental flux which is crossing out through the elemental surface d psi is dn into ds. This can be written as d cos theta into ds. It can be written as a dot product as a d bar dot ds bar. The total flux coming out through the entire closed surface is the surface integral of d bar dot ds bar. Now let us look into the Gauss law statement. The surface integral of the normal component of the flux density d over a closed surface is equal to the charge enclosed by it. In the equation form, it is the surface integral of d bar dot ds bar is equal to the q enclosed. In this lecture, we have covered the forces due to the point charges. We understood the Coulomb's law, electric field intensity, potential difference by doing few examples. We also have covered the statement of the Gauss law.